Hey, you're listening to Smoke Meat. I'm your host, Brad Pittman. Smoke Meat's brought to you by Joe's Underground at the corner of 8th and Broad in Augusta, Georgia, in the bottom of the Lamar building. Joe's is such a great place. Jeremy and the gang make you feel like you're at home the first time you walk in. Just such a great place. You know, you go in, you get great food, great drinks, have great people there serving you and helping you out. Go on down there, have you a good old drink, meet you some new friends, and hang out with your old ones here at Joe's Underground at the corner of 8th and Broad in Augusta, Georgia, in the bottom of the Lamar building. Remember, I goes to Joe's, and so should you. Yeah, today, my show is going to be the first of a three-parter. That's right, our first three-parter. I've got three people from the band Revolushn kicking in. Today, my first part is going to be Mr. No Mansfield. I know is such a great guy, and just such a smart guy. I mean, we talked about the Mars habitat simulators. We talked about green energy. You name it, we talked about it. And he's such a smart guy and such a great guy. You're going to love him. So we're going to go and kick this beast off here on Smoked Meat. Hey, how you doing today, No?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Man, if I was any better, I would be twins. I've been looking forward to this.
I gotta
Oh, yeah.
remember that one. That's good.
Oh, yeah.
uh, yeah, happy 4th of July.
Well, thank you very, very much. Did you have a good one?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Uh, I didn't do much. Just kind of hung out. My guys were working today, so I had to come and bring them beer. But other than that,
Hey, the great
it
ones
was pretty
dig deep.
mellow.
The great
Yeah,
ones dig deep, my friend.
that's right.
Oh, yeah. What kind of beer did you bring them?
Pabst of all things. One
Oh,
of the
man.
guy, he's an iron worker and he loves Pabst. So
Oh, yeah.
I had to go a couple places to find it. But
Oh, man. I'm trying to get an official beer of the Smoke Meat podcast, and oddly
uh-huh.
enough, it's one of the Pabst beers. But have you had
Really?
the PBR hard coffee?
No.
Oh, dude, it's amazing. It tastes basically like mocha with a little bit of alcohol in it,
No
and
kidding.
it's
I gotta
like
try
six
that.
percent. It is so good.
It's called hard coffee.
Yeah, PBR hard coffee. It's in a little brown can.
I gotta try that.
Yeah, go to. I think they've actually got a website. It's the PBR Finder, and they'll tell
Uh-huh.
you who sells it.
I'll be damned.
Yeah, it's freaking amazing. It'll get you in trouble fast. Oh yeah,
Yeah. Get you drunk and keep you awake at the same time.
it's exactly like Cat Williams says. I want to pass out, but I can't. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're talking to a Southern boy, so PBR. That's man, that's history right there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad
They,
that you taking care of you guys. That's for sure.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. It's they I mean, like every day's a holiday for me. But it's fun when I meet other guys who like to come in and build stuff uh on the 4th of July, basically.
Yeah,
Of course, they're both from Mexico, so I guess it's not such a big thing for them.
yeah. I love asking my kids, do they have the 4th of July in other countries? And they're like, no. I'm like, yeah, they do. And it takes them a minute
That's true.
sometimes.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But no, man, I've been listening a little bit of Revolution. And like I say, I had never listened a lot before. And I started listening, and it's kind of cool. I'm digging it.
Oh, great! Glad you like it.
Yeah. Tell everybody out there a little bit about y'all.
Well, we're a California band. Uh, we live basically. The members are stretched out between San Francisco and Los Angeles, and so we get together and record a lot, and then we tour around. But we do like a set of shows, and then take it easy and do another set of shows. But the band is made up of myself. I play guitar and sing. David Kendrick is our drummer. He was probably recognized him from being in Devo for a while.
Hmm.
And then Devo Sparks, just it's amazing when I've known him a long time, and I still find out new people that he's played with. Um, and then we've got Neil Nyberg on bass. He's he's got a really cool band called Nalamora, which I play bass in his band. He plays bass in mine, so we're kind of brothers there. Uh, and let's see, bundles, Olga Schubert. She changes her name all the time. She plays keyboards, and in fact, you're going to talk to her pretty soon.
Yep.
And and then we've got Kim Ashton, and she's really great. She's We always tease her because she's the most positive one in the band. We're all old cynical farts, and she's always so happy.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. So, but she's our backup singer. It's sort of she's sort of the vocal police in the band because she's a vocal teacher.
Mm.
And so, like before she joined the band, I would fuck up the words all the time, not worry about it. Now I have to sing the same thing and get all the words right because she's singing along with me. So, uh, so yeah, that's the band. It's a five-piece band. We have our own studio, so we record a lot, do a lot of different styles and music. Uh, but Revolushn is kind of a sort of a quirky hard rock band with big drums and guitar, and borders on metal, but it also borders on polkas almost. I mean, in fact, on our first album, we had a polka. It's called
Nice.
Alien Polka. Yeah, it was sort of like a hard rock polka.
Nice. That may have to be my bed music under my intro. You know that, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, it's really funny. If I sent, and it's real. It's a friend of ours, Eddie Spaghetti, who's an old friend of mine. In fact, he and I played in bands when I think we started when we were 9 years old, our
Mm.
first band, and and but his father owned this bar, and he would make Eddie get out there and play accordion because he's like a little monkey. All these old guys, old geezers up in the woods there would get drunk and dance around in polka, and so anyway, he wrote this melody on the squeeze box. It was just I was there when he wrote it. Dude, that's a song. And so he came back a couple of months later and said, "Okay, here we go. Here we go. We got it." And then he had these lyrics that were total porno. It was so funny. He was telling me, "Yeah, my girlfriend and I did the lyrics, and it's about an alien that a girl meets an alien and she gets turned on by him." But I mean, it was like porno. Me and the producer were going, "Jesus, Ed, this is we can't put this on the record." So we did the thing with the vocals, where oh, and by the way, Aaron Connor's sort of like the sixth member of our band. He's the uh, producer extraordinaire. Uh, I mean, he's worked with, he did all the Bone Thugs and Harmony records back in the day. Just worked with Ed Sheeran recently.
Man.
He kind of likes us, so he does our stuff too. But we turned it from this porno polka into like a space polka, and we took his voice and made it sound like an alien. And but the funny part is the melody is an actual traditional Polish polka, and it is kind of dirty. So anyway, that's sort of our thing. We play so much that I mean I like everything pretty much. I don't like opera mostly because it's mostly Italian or German. I don't understand what they're singing about, but
Yeah.
everything else is, Metallica is one of my favorite bands.
We are
Uh,
kindred spirits.
yeah, I just saw those guys a couple of years ago, and whoa,
Oh man,
blew me away.
what really sucks? They've been to Atlanta a couple of times. I know. I think them, Def Leppard, and Motley Crue were supposed to be here in August, and I think it got pushed. And I'm like, man, I would love to see them, and I've just never had the shot to go do it.
Yeah, yeah, I'll do it definitely. Well, it was really weird. I met them
Mm-hmm.
all. God, this was a long time ago. It was just after their first album,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe the second one. I'm not sure, but it was in São Paulo, Brazil. That's right. We, I was there with Devo. I was with Devo for a while, and we went to São Paulo and Rio. We did 5 or 6 gigs in those two cities, but the place in São Paulo was, I don't know, like 4 or 5 thousand people. And Metallica was playing the next night. It was 2 nights of Devo and 2 nights of Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
And so the second night we played, they were there, and we're backstage and hanging out with them and stuff. And at the time, I had never heard them, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And we had a night off the next night, so I thought, oh fuck it, I'll go and see them. I was blown away. But then I am. That was the last time I saw them up until a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's a good band.
Oh yeah. I mean, my playlist on Napster. I mean, I've got a little bit of everything. I go from Wayne Newton to Metallica to Eminem to Monty Montgomery. You name it, I've got them.
Yeah, Eminem's a really interesting guy too. I like his stuff, but I don't listen to it that much because it makes me mad when I do. I don't know why. But uh, when he put out that one album, in fact, I think, well, when was that? Remember that song with White America on it? That album,
I,
Encore was? Oh, I
I
can't remember.
can't remember the name of it. I'm gonna have to look it up
Yeah,
after
it was.
this now.
But musically, it was really clever. But God, the lyrics were so angry.
Yeah.
I just, I, I sometimes I'd do it going, listen to it going to work, and like I'd be mad when I got to work. So he's doing a good job, I guess.
Hey, I like
Yeah.
it. Music's like comedy for me
Uh
because
huh.
as a comedian, my job is to go in front of a room full of strangers and make them have the same involuntary emotion and action, and they're all strangers at the same time. And
Yeah.
music's the same way.
Yeah.
So,
Comedy is really interesting to me. Uh, For a long time, I thought it was just standing in front of people and telling jokes.
oh,
You know,
it's rough.
yeah, it's way more than that, and it's interacting with the crowd too. That's something that uh, I have a friend in San Francisco that the Ben Nalamore. A lot of times, will he plays these weirdo places like a bookshop. He'll do these comedy shows, and there's like 10 people there, but half of them are comedians. But for some reason, they like Nalamora. I mean, Nella, not for some. Nella's More is really good band,
Mm.
but so I've done 2 or 3 gigs, these comedy gigs, and uh, so there'll be 4 or 5 comedians, and then we do 2 or 3 songs, something like that. And it's really opened my eyes to like the difference, how people use different styles, and like my one friend, he's always ragging on. He's Mexican guy, so he's always, oh, these white people.
Mm.
That doesn't offend me at all, but I see how he can pull it off
Yeah,
because of the way he looks and the way he talks and everything. Whereas there's other guys. Uh, yeah, I was like, one guy he was kind of political, but God, was he funny?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And
you know,
the thing about comedy right now, and it's gotten a lot worse, especially now. Is that guy talking about white people? It's a fucking joke. Have fun with it, and I can dig that. I don't
yeah,
get offended by that.
yeah.
And people can't take a joke now.
No,
And
I know.
anything you get up on stage and say, look at Jimmy Fallon. He did a skit 20 years ago and imitated Chris Rock, and he's apologizing for it now. Chris
Yeah,
Rock
that's
loved it. It wasn't racial, it was imitating Chris Rock. And people just can't take a joke now. They don't see the humor in things now.
and they don't like want to forgive you. Like, I probably said some dumb shit, but my attitude is sorry. I was an idiot back then. Now I know. I didn't realize it hurt people's feelings, but
Yeah.
that's not good enough, right? You can't. You almost gotta buy them a new house or some shit to get them to.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
as a paramedic, I've seen the blood of every nationality, sexual orientation, religion, you name it. And if you
Oh,
take a drop of your blood and put it right next to mine, I can't tell a difference in it.
yeah. Yeah.
And I don't have everybody's built the same on the inside. I don't have a specific place on this race that I start an IV and this race on another one. It's all the
Right.
same. Blueprint's the
Right.
same,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it just kills me.
I. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hear people telling me it's pretty bad now. Things are rough, but I remember Vietnam, and
Yeah.
you know, I remember my father was like he was weird. He was a kind person, but he was racist. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but he didn't like it. It was weird. He was nice to black people and stuff, but or Mexicans or whatever you want.
Yeah.
I think the Chinese were the only ones he would like rag on.
Yeah.
I got them Chinese people, but uh, but it was and so and that might have started me on not being that way because you don't want to be like your parents when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Um, so, but it's a mind blower. I just don't think of it at all anymore.
Yeah.
Like when I look at people, I don't. I suppose I prejudge them by their clothes. That's a shitty shirt or something.
Me and
But
my Walmart fashions you would hate.
yeah, right. I know, and that's what I like to. That's my favorite place to shop.
Me too, because I am notoriously cheap.
Yeah, yeah, I know. If it wasn't for my wife, I'd just wear the same clothes until they just fall off. And
Yeah.
in fact, I went on a tour once where I decided I'm not doing any laundry. I'm just going to buy new clothes. And, the band would say, "Hey, Frank, you need a new shirt. It's starting to smell."
Nice. Yeah, I've got a pair of shorts that I wear around the house when I'm off that my wife, she never says anything, but you can tell she despises these shorts. And it's just a
Yeah,
plain old navy blue pair of basketball shorts, but it's kind of like my home uniform, I guess.
yeah. Well, uh,
Oh, but yeah, I think just as when everybody just decides and figures out that we're all the same, because I watch the news and see all the bad things, and
yeah,
then like when all the protests were going on and the riots and looting, my small town that I work in, we had two different groups held block parties one weekend. That weekend, a half a mile apart, and things could have gotten really really bad all that night. The next day we had two planned protests. Once again, things could have went really really bad, and we were all preparing for that.
yeah.
And my little town made me so proud because everything that was going on, everybody got along. The news won't show that, and that drives me crazy. They just want you to see the bad. They don't want you to look around and have hope.
Yeah, I know. Did you ever notice they like oh look at this store and they do a close up of the store, but they don't back up and show that that's the only store on the street and maybe that was because they didn't like the guy or whatever.
Yeah.
I I don't know. I've been on a couple of TV shows, um, documentaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you'd think documentary, okay, that's kind of how it is. Every from Discovery Channel to National Geographic. It was because of the Mars stuff mostly, but
Mm-hmm.
um, they're set up like crazy, and it made me real. That's when I first realized these are like The Apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
They saying that's reality? Come on.
You see, I've figured it out because we watch Moonshiners, and I
Uh-huh.
love the show, and I've actually gotten to talk to a couple of people from there and just had a really good time with them. And after the first season, my daughter was watching. She was a lot younger then, and she said, if the police want to know where these guys are, why don't they just watch the show? I'm like, you're a freaking genius.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's so funny
Yeah.
that and I lived in Hollywood for about 15 years, so I really and I was in the biz, so to speak. Uh, and as you forget, that's one thing Hollywood kind of forgets is that uh, the world doesn't end at Crenshaw Boulevard. It goes all the way across the country,
Yeah.
and Hollywood would be a very small spot on this really big country.
Yeah.
But um, it I don't know. It's like almost like a bad comic, right?
Yeah.
A good comic will tell when people are laughing. A bad comic doesn't sense it or
Yeah.
anything. Uh, and it's so insular, that world there.
Yeah.
Uh,
I've only been through Hollywood. I've never stopped. I was 16 and actually rode out to California with my brother in his 18-wheeler one summer. And that was so
really,
cool. Rode by and saw the Hollywood signs. Oh, that's so neat. Let's stop. He's like, nope, let's keep going.
yeah. Well, Los Angeles is interesting. It's I always wanted to go there that's because of the music, and but I grew up in this freezing little town in Wisconsin, and I wanted to get the hell away from the snow.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, uh, and I started playing when I was really young, so it the town I grew up in was 600 people in the winter,
Damn.
and luckily there was two other musicians in the town, and as luck would have it, we all played different instruments. We
Hmm.
were able to form a band. But Hollywood, well, Hollywood, and there's different areas of Hollywood, and there's Los Feliz, and then there's Burbank, and the thing is, Los Angeles isn't one big city as much as it is a bunch of small towns,
Yeah.
like 1,000 small towns in one spot. We like in Hollywood, where I lived towards the end, I lived like right above Sunset Boulevard in the hills there, and my neighbor was Paul Williams, the songwriter.
Little Enos.
Yeah, and Mick Jagger used to rent the house below me. I was on it's the hills are real steep there,
Hmm.
and the reason I found out that is that one night we came back from a gig. It was me. Remember that band called Wasp?
I do.
Yeah. So the guitar player and I got drunk at I think it was probably at the Rainbow, because his band was a lot bigger than they didn't know who I was, but we got drunk and he came up to my house to smoke a joint, and I had a big balcony that looked over the houses below me, and he goes, "Hey man, I bet you I could throw a rock and hit that swimming pool." And so we got a bunch of rocks and we're throwing rocks trying to get him in the swimming pool, and we're hitting the house, but we're drunk. And this guy comes out and starts yelling at us. God, and he's got an English accent, and I had binoculars, so I grabbed them binoculars and looked down, and sure enough, it's Mick Jagger. Quit throwing fucking rocks, and he's trying to sleep.
That's amazing because that sounds like some shit me and some of my buddies would do.
Oh, it was so goofy. I mean, I actually went down and apologized the next day. Said sorry, we were drunk.
Now for the real question. Had it not been Mick Jagger, would you have went down the next day?
Uh, well, he actually it wasn't there. Oh, who was answered was Jerry Hall. I
Nice.
and I didn't know who she was at first, but I was like, whoa, it's kind of lost. Duh, duh, duh. Sorry, we threw the rocks last night. She was going, what rock? She wasn't there, so she didn't even know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but
That is awesome. That's why I like my style of interviews because
uh-huh.
instead of getting on and saying, "So, tell me about your band,"
Yeah,
we go through the perfunctory. Okay, this is my band. This is what we do, and then we do shit like this.
yeah,
So that's what I love.
yeah. It's more fun to just I don't like those either where there I've had those where it's just it's like reading a script.
Yeah.
And then I've done them where there's like nobody on the other end. They just there's no feedback, you know.
Yeah, and that drives me insane. I like for people to, they want to know what I want to know, and hell, they want to know stuff I didn't even know I wanted to.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you listen to a lot of different podcasts, I'll pick somebody I want to hear, and I'll just type their name in my podcast thing, and it'll show all the episodes with them on it, and I listen to them, and I've about quit doing that because if you listen to two or three of them, it's the same show every time, and I hate
hmm,
that.
yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of them now. So, you know, it's like everybody and their brother. You know, yeah. There's some lame ones out there, but you know, there's also some good stuff.
Oh yeah,
Uh, yeah, I liked it. That's cool that you did a comedy one too.
yeah,
Check that out.
yeah,
I mean, that's what the world needs to laugh more right now.
you
You know.
ain't kidding. I'm so ready to get back on stage because a lot of comics are getting online and they're getting in front of a backdrop at home and just doing their act, which is awesome if you can do it. I can't. I feed way too much off my audience, so that's why I do the little character videos because with them,
Yeah.
that one last night, it was one of my better ones. I love it. But I tell you, that white chocolate challenge was no joke. That was one of the hottest things I've had. I've had one thing that was hotter, and
What was that?
it was called the Toe of Satan. It's a lollipop that measures 9 million Scoville heat units, and
Wow.
oh, it was like sticking my tongue to the lighter of a '73 Pinto. Oh, it was bad, and I had to read the little engine that could while I was doing it as one of my characters, a guy named Wayne. And Wayne is I'll describe Wayne for you. He's got a great big bushy red mustache and kind of red '70s hair. And he wears a
Uh-huh.
Hawaiian shirt, has the hamburger meat, the chest hair hanging out. And
Yeah.
this here's Wayne's voice, baby. Wayne's all about love. And yeah, I lasted a minute and a half with that thing, and I could do no more. The little engine couldn't. But one of my favorite ones is, I did an Amazon list, and I've shared it a couple of times. And anybody that orders anything off of it, it comes to me, and they can pick what character and what they want me to do while I'm doing it.
Uh-huh.
And the one thing on the list that wasn't hot that I wished I had not put on the list, but I did, is the Bean Boozled Extreme. Have you heard of Bean Boozled, the jelly beans?
No.
Oh man, Jelly Belly makes this game called Bean Boozled, where you spin a little spinner and it comes up with a color, and you pick a jelly bean of that color. Now it's either going to be a really good flavor like Tutti Frutti, or a really nasty flavor like sour milk, and the nasty flavors are spot on. Well, the extreme does not have any good ones in it at all. They're all the nasty flavors. Oh man, the girl that sent it to me wanted me to do take off on the Tiger King, and I happen to have a blonde mullet wig, so I put that on and a Hawaiian shirt, and basically sat there doing that as the Tiger King. Well, I was Brad Exotic, and I gave 20 minutes worth of talk about the dangers of lions, tigers, and donkeys. Yeah, one fact about donkeys, the average ground speed for a donkey is up to 70 miles an hour?
Really?
No, not really, but it sounded amazing on the video.
Yeah.
And donkeys know kung fu. No one's ever seen it because if you're close enough to see it, you're dead. And just shit like that. It was so much fun, but oh, those
Yeah.
things were so nasty.
Wow.
But yeah, I can film those kind of things because I know people are going to laugh. And if people are
Yeah.
laughing while I do it, it throws me. So it's better I
Yeah.
don't have an audience.
Yeah. I don't know. I know a lot of my friends, musicians, especially singer songwriters, would when everything closed down. The one thing, San Francisco has a really strong singer songwriter community and a lot of output. Uh, but it's like anything else. It's about uh, 20% of it is real good, Another 30% of it is decent, and 50% of it is like, go practice some more.
Yeah.
Uh, but uh, I saw it firstly when it first started. People were just throwing a shitty microphone up and singing, and it didn't. It wasn't nearly as powerful as being there.
Yeah.
Um, and so I don't know. I really resisted it. I finally did put up one with me playing along. I have in the studio now. I can. It's like playing with the whole band. I've got everything programmed. So when I want to practice our albums out, you know, I got a PA. I fucking crank it almost as loud as the band.
Hmm.
Turn up my guitar and play away.
I am sitting 3 feet from my PA.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
And
They're nice. It's nice
yeah.
having one.
Oh yeah. And mine's a little cheap one. I mean, it's a Harbinger. I think I paid $150 for it at Guitar Center, but it is awesome for the price. I love it.
Wow.
And
I've seen those. I've seen, yeah, at Guitar Center. I've seen that thing. I always wondered if they were any good or not.
yeah, they are really good. But it's like I say, for $150, it's great. I mean, the speakers, amazing speakers.
Wow, that's cool.
But, yeah, I mean, it's just a 4 channel board, and it's got effects on it. I mean, it's actually really good.
Wow,
But
that's
like I say, people want to record stuff, and that's cool and boast it. But do a little editing, do a little production with it.
yeah, yeah, right.
You
Yeah.
know,
Um, you know, a friend of mine. You know who Scott Page is?
I do. I got to see Scott on a video concert a couple of weeks ago, and was,
Yeah,
holy
I
shit,
saw that.
that was great, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. He sent me an email and said, "Hey, go to this site," and I thought I didn't know what it was, and it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, when I got the email, I saw okay, it's Scott. I ain't sure who he's playing with right now, and but we're gonna. I mean, Scott Page sends you a link to a damn concert. You click on that link,
Oh yeah,
and I
yeah,
clicked on it, and it's Scott, and then you got Kenny Olson, freaking Stephen Perkins and everybody. I'm like, holy shit, really?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
needed that. That was so great.
yeah, yeah. We did a show with those guys in L.A. Last fall,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's I don't know if you've heard the song "Electric" yet, but that
Mm-hmm.
it's that's all Scott playing that sax part, all
No
those
way.
horns. Yeah, especially that part at the end. Uh, hold on just a second.
Okay.
Tomorrow, maybe give a call. Okay. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot. They're done working already.
Nice.
Finished. Yeah. Um. But yeah, and it was really it was one of those sessions where I don't think about taking pictures. It just never has been my thing. But um, we recorded that. I had recorded all the tracks. We had David on there, and this was the fourth time we recorded that song because I it was like one of those little it was like a baby song that just needed some nurturing, and I knew the song was good, but it just we recorded it four different times, and the first three just weren't there.
Mm-hmm.
It was the problem was figured this out late was that I wrote it and we started playing it live before I even had the lyrics finished. So I would just either repeat a verse for or we had the chorus, and it was a big dance song. As soon as we start playing that, people would get out and start dancing, and so we would stretch the hell out of it,
Mm-hmm.
and do crowd stuff. And then when we recorded it, it's it's not that kind of song.
Yeah.
It's, it works live stretching it, but it didn't in the studio. So
Yeah.
we finally got the thing right, or at least close. We had the master recording anyway, with the drums sounded great, and then I took it to a friend of ours has a little studio in Van Nuys, and he's a good friend. In fact, Scott plays with his band too,
Mm-hmm.
and we went in there, and it's the size of a small garage, a one car garage, and it was fucking hot that day. and we're in there, and Scott is he starts playing, and right from the start, he soon as we had the levels up and we turned. Oh, this was the other. This is really funny. So I had brought my my Neumann mics, $4,000 mics, and we had everything, and we got it all set up, and we had three mics, and he goes, "Hey, you want to do it like Pink Floyd does it?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. How do they record?" And he took a SM57 and stuck it down the throat of the sax and said, "That's how you do it."
Nice.
I was like, "All right, okay." And he wailed right from the top. I mean, it played through the whole thing. The take that you had, or that you hear on the recording, is actually the first take he did when he
Hmm.
walked in the studio. Now, he's a perfectionist, so he said, "Well, let me do another one." And we ended up doing 30 tracks. I mean, I've more tracks on that song than any other song I've ever done.
Hmm.
And he's saying, "Well, I'll put." He was doing it different and here and there, and which was great at the time. But I always get annoyed because I'm the one that's got to then mix it, and I got to listen to each one of those separately and go, "Okay, does that fit? Does it fit with the other one?" Anyway, yeah, we ended up. That's almost that whole track is just his first take, with
Man,
hardly any edits.
man. Well, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
that
And he was we had to, at one point I stopped the tape because I thought he was going to faint because he was sweating so much, and he's starting to weave back and forth, and I'm like, "Scott, hold on." He goes, "No, I got to get it." Yeah, he's a real. I really like Scott.
yeah, yeah. I'm actually not far from talking to him. I think I talked to him on Friday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm
Cool.
excited. I mean, I'm meeting so many neat people through this thing. It's funny. I figured, okay, I'm going to start doing some of these rockers, and I grew up with music. I mean, it's a huge part of my life, and I thought, just don't fanboy out.
Yeah, right. I know.
And I'm the closest I've came. Of course, I talked to Kenny Olson, and damn, it's Kenny
Yeah,
Olson, and Kenny Aronoff. Uh, he did two of my favorite drum fills in the world. Jack and Diane and Blaze of Glory. I mean, shit. But
yeah,
I held all that in, and just I've made friends, and that's just awesome to be able to do. I could have got on there and said, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," and they'd have been like, "Yeah, this jackass interviewed me, okay." But instead, we're talking, and it
yeah,
works.
yeah. No, you're Scott's great. Tell him I said hi.
I will definitely do it. But yeah, people like we were talking about people wanting to, record and video everything right now. Um, and while phones are great, I've actually found a camera. I'm looking at getting the camera myself. It's made by the same company that does this board, Zoom,
Uh-huh.
and it's called the Q8, and it does 4K. And the neat thing about it, it's got interchangeable mics on top of it, which Zoom mics are great. Anything they do with sound is just wonderful. But it's also got two XLR inputs right into the camera, where you can put your board in and it'll output back to the board, and you can get
Whoa.
your good sound. It's a really nice camera. And it's only about $400. Their prices are really good on their stuff.
Wow. And that's Zoom. Huh?
Yeah,
Zoom is the brand?
yeah,
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
yeah. Same people that make this board.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But,
So, but what was I gonna tell you? Forgot.
hmm.
So, and you do you have? I ask you, you play guitar. You don't. You're not in a band yet,
Well,
or no?
I chicken pick. That's about the most I can play. I've
Uh,
tried for years, and I can't get it.
yeah.
But I can chicken pick like a beast. Now,
Right.
it's funny. All of my cousins on my dad's side can
Uh-huh.
play anything. They could pick up a pine limb and a shoestring and sound like Jimi Hendrix.
Well,
They could walk up to a Fisher Price piano and sound like Ray Charles.
yeah.
One of my cousins actually played on Edwin McCain's demo album or demo tape. So, I
Well,
mean, they're just amazing. But I just didn't
yeah.
get that.
Yeah, I don't know that I did. I think I never really thought of myself as a really good guitar player. Even though I, you know, tons of work and lots of stuff, but it's because I work at it so hard.
Yeah.
I know guys, like young kids, it seems to just pick it up and like it fits their hand perfectly. And I had to practice my ass. I still do.
Yeah.
If I don't play every day, I can tell the difference the next day.
Yeah, my daughter's that way. I mean, she, you know, would listen to me play a little bit here and there, and she'd want to mess with it some, and she'd fart around with it. And then she took a year of it in high school, and we bought her an acoustic electric Yamaha. And no, it's a Fender that we bought her. And man, she just picked it up, and she's fine with it. And once she figured out how to play it, she kind of lost interest. I'm like, you got to keep playing. There's so much cool stuff you can do.
Yeah, yeah.
And, I only live about 4 miles from a guitar center, and it's the devil. I've been banned from there from my wife. And
I
this is
know.
actually the first time in a long time I do not have a guitar here at the house.
I know. Then my wife was like, I was. Oh, I tell her, honey, they all sound different. That's why I have to have so many.
Exactly.
Yeah.
At one point I had six, and four of them were Tellys, just
Ah,
different brands and all that. And
yeah,
that's my favorite guitar. I love the feeling. I love the sound of it.
yeah,
But it
yeah,
drove my wife crazy. She's like, "Those look exactly the same." I'm like, "No, they're different. I promise."
yeah, yeah. I went to Sweetwater, the guitar parts seller.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Sweetwater. No, Guitar Fetish. That's it.
Okay.
And I bought a telly body and a telly neck, and I bought the active pickups for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so proud of it. And I mean, I'm playing the guitar all my life. I'd never built one, and I didn't. I'm not gonna can't say I built this. I put the parts together,
Yeah.
but it sounded amazing, right? It's a little heavy, but I use it mostly for the studio. But the problem was this neck I bought, the second and the third frets were like a millimeter off from where they're
Oh.
supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, it was the wait, third and fourth fret were not cut the right way. So I would tune it when I'd play an E chord, it'd be perfectly in tune. I'd play a G chord and it'd be way off. And it drove me nuts. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Finally, a guy that builds guitars in town said, "Yeah, that's your problem. It's that fret."
Mm-hmm.
And so I went out. I paid more for the next neck than I paid for the whole setup. And boy, does it play nice now. But
Yeah.
yeah, that telly sound, there's just nothing like it.
Yeah. I mean, I just love it. And if you put a B bender on it,
Uh huh.
oh man, I love those. I've never had one with it on there, but I love like Brad Paisley's sound. He uses a B bender, and it's
Wow.
just I love that sound. His tone and his sound just works for me.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite one I ever had wasn't a Fender. It was a clone built by a company called AXL, and it was kind of a knockoff of their Road Worn series. It had that wormhole wood, and
Yeah.
the sound and the feel of this one. I wished I had never gotten rid of that guitar. Oh, and I haven't found another one like it since.
Wow.
But what's your favorite? If you had to, they put you in and said your house is on fire. You got to grab one guitar and get out. What would you grab?
Probably a Strat.
Outstanding.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I played a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I only recently switched to PRS, Paul
Mm-hmm.
Reed Smith. Yeah. I had one. It was one of those things I just, in fact, my wife yelled at me for that one too. But uh, I wanted a guitar with a Floyd Rose on it
Mm-hmm.
for the whammy bar. And I bought this one and it plays nice and sounds nice, but that damn whammy bar, I just couldn't get it to stay in tune,
Mm-hmm.
like for a whole set. And and also the bar itself, when it would hang there, it was kind of right in the way to hit the volume. And when I'm playing live and especially playing and singing, I use that volume a lot to modify my tone. Say from I don't use a volume pedal or anything. I actually turn it up and down, and I've gotten really good over the years at doing that quickly.
Hmm.
Well, this damn whammy bar was right in the way. I'd go to hit it, and my finger would hit the whammy bar, and so I didn't use it for a long time. And I thought, I'd like this sound, so I took the whammy bar off and I locked the bridge. I put a piece of wood in there and made it so it wouldn't move.
Hmm.
And now that's the guitar I use. And I got to admit, part of it is because it's so light.
Yeah.
It's real. When you're doing a 45-minute set jumping around like a maniac, you want a guitar that's kind of light if you can get away with it.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Yeah.
it's between that PRS and the Strat pretty much that I use live all the time.
Well, you can grab two of them then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I interviewed Rocky Kramer, and I like his Strat. His Strat has three humbuckers on it.
Oh, really? All
Yeah.
three, huh?
Yeah, and it's a pretty good sound.
Yeah, I have a humbucker on the bottom pickup, and it's a split one, so I can use one or two coils.
Hmm.
And then, but 2 years ago, this I do these shows. In fact, it's my only show this summer is this thing called Pato Jambo, and it's in northern Wisconsin, and it's outside, and we're calling it the antiviral concert because when you buy a ticket, you get a mask, and it's outside. There's hand sanitizer everywhere. It's touchless bar. It's
Hmm.
outside. Um, but anyway, I'm yeah, because I'm like I am concerned. I don't want to have anybody get this fucking virus. But on the other hand, there's a lot more that's known about it now. Like pretty much you pretty much don't get it from touching something.
Yeah.
It has to be an airborne water droplet, and 90% of the airborne water droplets that come out of your mouth are heavy enough so they fall to the ground real quickly unless you're in the
Well,
wind.
if you want to see exactly what your water droplets are,
Uh huh.
you know how when you go outside during the winter, you breathe and you can see your breath?
Yeah.
That's your water droplets.
Yeah. Right.
So,
So if you're careful, if you wear a mask and you don't get real close to people, uh, it's contagious for sure. I don't want
oh
to
yeah.
make light of it at all. I guess I'm just trying to
It,
justify
it,
doing this show
well,
because
it can be
it.
controlled with common sense. You know, we just do what we were taught in freaking kindergarten. I mean,
Yeah, right,
wash your
right.
hands, don't sneeze on people, don't get right
Yeah,
up on people, and it works.
keep yourself healthy as you can. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it all helps. Um, but yeah, so anyway, we're doing this show, and when we first started doing this is the fourth year we've done it. I there was a oh, I know what happened. So I was flying into Chicago to do these shows, and I'd go up and meet some of the guys, in southern Wisconsin, and we drive up to this thing. Well, uh, I can't remember what airline it was, but they lost my guitar,
Oh man.
or it didn't show up, right? And so I went to my friend. I said, I got to rent or borrow someone's guitar or something. And he had a friend who had these two crate amps and a Strat, and the Strat was in really good shape. The guy bought it and didn't play very much,
Mm.
and so I rented it from him and went and did the show. And then the next year, I said, you know what? Ask him if he wants to sell it. I'll just buy the thing, and then I'll just keep that in Wisconsin so I can. It'll be there for when that's really cool. My high school band, we still get together and record songs and stuff.
Nice.
Anyway, yeah. So I bought the Strat, and this was a straight Strat. Just the regular three single coil pickups.
Mm.
And I hadn't used one like that for a long time, and I forgot how good that sound is too. It's a pretty, it's a little trebly for my ears, but it still sounds really good. There's just something about. the Telly and the Strat. And you'd think, they're just chunks of wood with copper pickups on all guitars, but they really do have different sounds.
Yeah, they do. And the neat thing about a guitar is, like I say, each one's got its own personality. I mean, you can have two Strats side by side, and they'll play different, and I mean, it just each one is like a little person. It's got its own thing, its
Yeah,
own little quirks, its own little tone. And like I've told you, I'm a gear whore. When I would play, I used to work at a place that was way out in the country. My drive home was about 45 minutes, and it was through the country. And we had these two bridges over two parts of a river, and we called them the Twin Bridges. Well, one of them you could actually drive down to it and get under it and just fish or whatever.
uh-huh.
So whenever I would have a really bad shift on the ambulance on the way home in the morning, I would stop under that second one, and I usually had a guitar with me and a little pig nose amp, and I had it's made by Line 6. It's called a Podbean or something like that. But it
Yeah,
was a
I
little
know.
effects processor.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
I would just sit under the bridge and play that thing for 2 hours to nobody.
Yeah.
And it just, man, it just heals.
Isn't that something? How that the it's part of your brain takes over, and you don't think so much as you just let your fingers, y- you know. Maybe it's like because it takes so much dexterity that you switch into a mode where your brain sort of shuts down worrying about the politics and all that BS and just focuses on the dexterity part.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, then there's the audio. You're getting to hear this thing in real time that you're doing.
Yeah.
I,
And the neat thing for it to me was whenever I would figure out that I learned something new, and that was so cool because, I mean, I know about liftoffs and, you know, hammers and all that. And
yeah,
under that bridge is where it finally hit me exactly how to use them. And I'm like, holy shit, this sounds a lot better and this sounds really good. And that was
yeah,
cool.
that's that's really cool. Playing under a bridge.
Yeah. And I mean, it was just me and the fish. That was it.
Yeah,
So, so I enjoyed it. I mean, music for me is healing. It's a wonderful thing. I think everybody should have some kind of music in their life. And if you don't, I'm really sad for you.
yeah, yeah. I hear you.
But man, I tell you, I've had a ball today. We've gone almost an hour.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, wow.
Yeah. See, that's what I like about my show. You can lose track of time because it's just boom, we're talking. But
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
welcome back on here anytime.
Oh well, I'll probably take you up on that. I've got some new music coming out soon, and
Oh, dude, let me know.
uh,
I'll push it.
all right, that'd
Yeah,
be awesome.
most definitely. Well, tell us where we can find you. Tell my listeners.
Well, you can find us on our newly rebuilt website. It's revolution.com. And the thing is, it's spelled different. It's not like the American spelling of revolution. It's Revolushn as opposed to ION.
Mhm.
And that's because Olga, our keyboard player, we kind of we were talking one day, and she said, "What you gonna do with what you got to have a name?" And I thought I was in one of those cranky moods, and I want to start a revolution with this band. She said, "Okay, let's try Revolution."
Mhm.
And she came back and said that the American spelling is taken, but if I spell it like we do in Russia, we can use it. And
Mhm.
I said, "Okay, fine." And then, like an idiot, for it was like a year or two in before I realized, oh fuck, Prince's band was called Revolution. One of my favorite bands in the world. Oh, geez, I couldn't believe that I spaced on that. But anyway,
It
and
happens.
and I actually they got together. They did like 4 or 5 shows 2, 3 years ago, and they did one in San Francisco, and I went there and I talked to Wendy, and I said, "Man, I don't mean to steal your name." She's like, "Oh, don't worry about it."
Oh
But
man, I actually found a video of her debut with the Revolution.
really,
Yes, it was up in Minnesota at a club where they recorded Purple Rain live.
oh, at First Avenue,
Yeah, and
First
her
Street.
yeah, and it didn't make it onto the album, but the beginning of the song is about a minute and a half of her just soloing, and it is amazing. She just the sound she puts out.
Oh yeah, she was really good,
Yeah,
really good.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I played that club. It was like it was. I played it after I saw the movie too, and I was really vibing on it. Like, wow, this
Yeah,
is so cool.
yeah. I got to play. Have you ever seen the movie Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil?
No, I've heard that. It's one. It's on my list actually.
It's really good. There is a lady on there. She's a drag queen named the Lady Chablis,
Uh
and she
huh.
was really big, and she's passed on now. But her home club was in Savannah, and it was a place called Club One. And in the movie, they had her doing her stage show where she emceed, and I've got to do comedy in that exact spot. And that was so cool to be somewhere where you know somebody else has been that you liked.
Yeah, yeah, I know. We did that in New York City when Revolution played there. We did this one club, and we had to do it acoustically too. In fact, David went to Home Depot and bought one of those plastic buckets, his bass drum.
Nice.
But it was called the the Duplex, and then the people like it's where Joan Rivers started, Woody Allen's, Madonna. And it was like, whoa,
Yeah, you know, if this
it's really
stage could
cool.
talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well,
So
cool.